this on. Whoop. Good morning. It's a beautiful morning today. Whoops, where are we? No, not enough? Well, I talk pretty loud. Talk louder? Okay. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. We are so happy that you've chosen this YouTube channel, this Sabbath, this sanctuary in time. We know that you have so many options on Sunday morning, and that you choose to be here is something that we celebrate. We extend an especially warm welcome to our visitors and anyone who may be watching our service online for the first time. If you'd like to follow along with the hymns using a hymnal and forgot to pick one up on your way in, please feel free to grab one from the carts near the entrance. We now invite everyone to greet each other in any way you possibly can. Elbows if you're here, and if you're joining us online, please say hi in the chat room. Thank you, and it's good to be together. And Reverend Rose has some announcements for us.
Good morning. This week marks the beginning of the high holidays for the Jewish annual calendar, so Shana Tova to all of our Jewish congregants today. We celebrate with you as the year turns and you enjoy these days of awe. Secondly, we will be hosting a starting point this Wednesday, which is a class for anyone who is interested in becoming more familiar with our congregation or with Unitarian Universalism. This is a special starting point because it will be led by me, and I will be leading these once a month throughout the fall. Please sign up with Jim or Deacon, who are out at the front desk, or there's Jim, or use the QR code in the QR corner bulletin board that we created in the fellowship hall. There will be childcare. Thirdly, today's service is brought to you by the letter T. It is for Third Sunday, and T is also for Tech Table, which will be set up in Fellowship Hall after the service to help you if you are struggling with your technology and communications in any way. And now we have an announcement from Chris McIntyre for the Donate the Plate and the Pantry.
Thank you. My name's Chris McIntyre, relatively recent member of the congregation, but from early on I got involved with the pantry a couple of days a week, and a couple things happened. First off, Donate the Plate is, as you are all familiar, more so than me probably, the appropriate source for the donations that are made during the service. And at the food pantry, we can clearly use everything that we can get our hands on. Everyone knows the success of the pantry. It's about 3 years old, July of 2020. We've expanded, tripled the number of folks that are served on a weekly basis to almost 400, almost 3,000 pounds of product, basically, primarily food, go out on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. And, success is a wonderful thing, but, what happens is the existing resources tend to get tapped. And we are looking at a bigger picture right now, I think, beyond the plates and the small donations that we find from schools and food drives, onto a bigger picture. I'm kind of asking you to think creatively to resources and individuals who might be connected with larger organizations that could potentially involve larger donations and, again, a bigger picture for the pantry. By example, I knew some folks that worked for Constantino's and Associated Wholesale Grocers and so on who were able to provide us with additional resources to utilize at their store, or from cut the red tape, basically, as it happens at some of these organizations to get where we need to get. A great example of something else Harvesters did was a recent Costco connection, which eliminates them as a middle ground for perishable donations on a weekly basis, and those now come directly to the pantry. We pick those up every Monday. And it's, I won't say it's random, it's bakery goods, it's produce, but it's all stuff that is wonderfully appreciated and utilized on Tuesdays. So we look forward to any ideas that you may have. Certainly, Jay Mitchell, Shawnee and myself have been working on kind of a sustainability of product so that we can offer the shoppers a consistency of items on a week-to-week basis and not feel that we're going to be out of things or don't have things they're relying on. So consistency and depth of resources are kind of the what we're looking for today as something that people can think of and perhaps advise us of ways and means that we may be able to increase the resources available, because if we're as successful as we are and grow as we are, we are going to run out of money at some point or need to cut services, and that's not something we want to do. So appreciate any help and creativity you may have, and look forward to speaking with you. Thank you. Thanks.
All right, good morning. Our wonderful young adults out there, I see some of you. Please join us next Sunday for a taco lunch following the service. We will meet in room 18 as we usually do. If you're wondering what who is a young adult, we usually say 18 to 35-ish, and I like to put myself in the ish part, so I'll be there. These lunches have been such a great time. So I hope you can join us.
Our opening words today come from poet and activist Langston Hughes. I dream a world where one no other will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its path adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blights our day. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of this earth, and everyone is free. Where wretchedness will hang its head, and a joy, like a pearl, attends the needs of all humankind. of such I dream, my world. Come, let us worship.
Quinn, would you come up? Light the chalice this morning. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another.
All right, at this time, I'd like to invite all the children to come forward and sit around this parachute with me. All right. All right, does anyone played with a parachute like this before? Maybe in PE class? Parachute days during PE class were my favorite days. I loved Parachute Day because it's one of the few activities where all my classmates were included and everyone had a role. Today at church, we're talking about inclusion. Can anyone tell me how you make others feel included? Yes. Inclusion means include everyone. And if you all were meeting someone for the first time, how might you make them feel included? Yeah, you include them, you let them play with them, so you would welcome them in. What else might you do? When you're first meeting someone, what's kind of the first thing you ask them? Yes. What's your name? Exactly. Rev Rose, when you're meeting someone, how do you help them feel included?
Say hi, ask their name, ask them to join us, and then maybe ask them some questions to try to get to know them.
What kind of questions could we ask them to get to know them? Do you have one? Yes. Yeah, what's your favorite color? How old are you? What grade are you in? Those are all great. Well, we are about to play with this parachute in just a moment. But if we look around the parachute, it looks like some more people could join us, right? Is there anyone in the audience who is willing to sit on the floor around the parachute with us? All right. All right, here we go. All right, we got maybe room for 2 more over there. I think you can help Arjun for sure. All right. Okay, children, we have some new friends. So let's do what we said we would do if new people are joining us. So how can we help them feel included? Yes. Yeah. I'll start. So I put some up here to remind us. So I'm going to ask you, what is your name and what grade are you in?
My name is Amanda, and I have a job, so I don't go to school anymore.
Lucky. And what is your name and what is your favorite color?
My name is Ashley, and my favorite color is green.
All right. And what about you over here? What is your name? All right. Thank you, Ruth, for joining us. And over here, what is your name? Tracy. Nice to meet you.
I'm Stephanie, and I'm in 18th.
Oh, great. Yeah. Cool. Stephanie's still in school, just like you all. All right. So this is what I love about parachutes is, has anyone done where you grab it, you pull it up, and then you get under it, and we create like a little home where we're all included? Let's see if we can do it. All right. Well, we'll stand up, and I'll show you how to do it.
Okay, 1. 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
Oh my gosh, I wish you guys could have seen the smiles inside that parachute. All right, parachute fun is such a good example of inclusion. So this week, I encourage you all to meet someone new and include them in something that you're doing. All right, at this time, the children can follow me to their classrooms where we'll continue to talk about inclusion.
Each month, we as a community take time to reflect on a theme. The children do this in their classes, and we do it in our small groups and also here in worship. And this month, the theme... She's all right. This month, the theme is welcome. For a themed reflection today, your worship leaders bring you a poem. To begin, I will read the editor's note from the Hummingbird Press, which I think sets up this poem very beautifully. She says, "I'm going out on a limb here, but I think it's totally rad, and I am bursting with pride that we, America, have a poet laureate. It is something that makes a real comment about our society, our culture, our collective love of peace and beauty and things outside the everyday turmoil, divisiveness, hate, and uncaring that sadly is also prevalent. 6 years ago, Amanda Gorman was named the first ever National Youth Poet Laureate of the U.S. and was compelled to address the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly with this incredibly beautiful poem that we're about to hear that serves as both a message of challenge and of hope.
Okay, settle in. This is a long one. How could I ask you to do good when we've barely withstood our greatest threats yet? The depths of death, despair, and disparity, atrocities across cities, towns, and countries, lives lost, climactic costs. Exhausted, angered, we are endangered, not because of our numbers, but because of our numbness. We're strangers to one another's perils and pain, unaware that the welfare of the public and the planet share a name, equality. Doesn't mean being the exact same, but enacting a vast aim, the good of the world to its highest capability. The wise believe that our people without power leaves our planet without possibility. Therefore, though poverty is a poor existence, complicity is a poorer excuse. We must go the distance. Though this battle is hard and huge, though this fight we did not choose, for preserving the earth isn't a battle too large to win, but a blessing too large to lose. This is the most pressing truth, that our people have only one planet to call home, and our planet has only one people to call its own. We can either divide and be conquered by the few, or we can decide to conquer the future and say that today a new dawn we wrote. Say that as long as we have humanity, we will forever have hope. Together, we won't just be the generation that tries, but a generation that triumphs. Let us see a legacy where tomorrow is not driven by the human condition, but by our human conviction. And while hope alone can't save us now, with it we can brave the now, because our hardest change hinges on our darkest challenges. Thus may our crisis be our cry, our crossroad, the oldest ode we owe each other. We chime it for the climate, for our communities. We shall respect and protect every part of this planet, hand it to every heart on this earth, until no one's worth is rendered by race, gender, class, or identity they were born. This morn, let it be sworn that we are only, this morn, let it be sworn that we are one human kin, grounded not just by the griefs we bear, but by the good we begin. So to anyone out there, I only ask that you care before it's too late, that you live aware and awake, that you lead with love in hours of hate. I challenge you to heed this call. I dare you to shape our fate. Above all, I dare you to do good so that the world might be great.
We come to this place to see and be seen, to teach and be taught, to hear and be heard. I invite you to reach over and nudge the person sitting next to you, reminding them that we are here together, gathered in our authenticity and peace and intention. We also come to this place to share our joys and sorrows that we encounter in our lives. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share, I invite you to come forward and briefly share as you light a candle.
Good morning. I'm Andrea Nelson. I have a couple of candles to light. The first one is a joy with some pain and suffering, probably. I'm going to get a knee replacement on Thursday, so that'll be fun. And then the other one is a joy that Brian and I will be married 35 years next Sunday. 35. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tracy. I have a few. After being homeless for 4.5 years, I now live behind the front door. And yesterday, I bought me a car. And one more, thank God, it's football season. Go Chiefs.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm Mike Schimmel. This is a candle remembrance. Friday night, my uncle, who is 96, passed away. I don't know how often people stop to think about those whose very being helped create who we are. My Uncle Richard was a World War II veteran who served in Philippines and was on board ship for the first wave of attack on the islands of Japan had that occurred. He was a mathematician who worked on first the Gemini and then the Apollo program using a slide rule for those that might know what that is. He was a school board president for 27 years, leading the district in Anaheim. And he was a scout leader, and for those of you that know scouting, he was one of the Silver Beaver Award winners. And with his leadership, not only his 2 sons, but 3 nephews, all became Eagle Scouts. He is a person that of deep faith, who kept his faith in his heart and not on his sleeve. And I'll remember him forever.
I'm lighting this candle for my dad. He passed away in April, and today would have been his 80th birthday.
Hello, I'm Jim.
I'm Kevin.
And 7 years ago today, we invited 80 of our closest friends to an elegant garden party. And halfway through, we surprised them with a wedding. Ours. 7 years ago today, Reverend Rose conducted her first Kansas wedding ceremony. Ours. So this is a candle of great joy.
Love you guys. I light this candle for Miles Raymond, who is watching at home and who is bravely facing his final days. I light the 2 remaining candles for all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. Please join me in our words of affirmation. We hear your words. We witness your life in all its heaviness and brilliance, and we carry your joys and sorrows in a shared heart. Please join me for a moment of silence, meditation, and prayer. I invite you to take a moment to come more fully into this space, putting your feet flat on the ground, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, wiggling your jaw, noticing an area in your body that feels tense or tight, letting the bustle of getting here melt away, and coming into this space of holiness, of wonder, of love. I invite you to draw your attention to your heart center. Drawing into your mind's eye someone who you know is suffering. This could be someone who you know very well. It could be someone who you've seen briefly, someone who you've read about, someone in this room, someone in your family. We will practice loving kindness meditation, keeping them in your mind's eye. I invite you to repeat after me. May you be free from suffering. May you be free from harm. May you be free. Breathing again into your heart space, letting the corners of your lips turn up. I invite you to draw into your mind's eye the people in this room. Drawing into your mind's eye the people in your family who are not here. The people of Kansas City. The people of the Midwest, the people of the nation, of North America and the globe. Keeping this in your mind's eye, repeat after me. May we be free from suffering. May we be free from harm. May we be free. And then lastly, I'll have you put your hand over your own heart. You can give yourself a pat, feeling the warmth of your chest on your palm. Knowing what you know about the complexities and multitudes and challenges in your own life, I invite you to repeat after me. May I be free from suffering. May I be free from harm. May I be free. Never forget that you belong. This earth belongs to you and you belong to it. That you are worthy in this space. That your dignity and your smile and your wellness is important. That we value you and we value when you value yourself. May a love, an everlasting love, wash over us in this room, over the whole world, that we may be agents of an everlasting peace, that we may find our way out of no way, find our sustainability, find our communities, gathering together as one, as a globe. I invite you to do your own well wish, your own inner prayer, sending thoughts, kindnesses, compassion. As you breathe in, you can imagine that you breathe in peace. And as you breathe out, that you breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. For our sermon today, Micah and I will be doing a dialogue, so please excuse us for a moment while we rearrange. Today's sermon is being replaced with a dialogue about radical inclusion between myself and Micah Rose Emerson-Cuevas. When she took the preaching practicum in March, she imagined that in place of preaching, we could try a unique format modeled after what she'd done with her minister in the Presbyterian Church during COVID. Micah is not only on staff here at the church, she's also a playwright, a public school teacher, a foster parent, and so much more. Today we are talking about radical inclusion, and my first question is for Micah. Micah, what do you mean by radical inclusion, and why does it matter?
So when I think about radical inclusion, I think of including everyone, despite disability, race, gender, all of the things. So essentially, it's just everyone is invited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's important as a value, because if we don't have that, we ourselves tend to not be included. I think that's kind of how the world works. We give and we get. And so if we are seeking to include others, we ourselves will then be included. What about you?
When I think about radical inclusion, I think about what it takes to be radically inclusive. Mm-hmm. And for me, that means maintaining a posture of curiosity and wonderment about the world. That there's no way for us to really be in a radical space unless we work to really maintain that wonderment in ourselves, so that we aren't closed off, that we're open and really radically including things that we don't even know about yet.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying is like a little bit of humility and some understanding of intersectionality.
Yeah, a lot of humility. I think in order to interact with anyone, what you were saying, like, we need it too. Mm-hmm. And so in order to get it, we need to give it. And then, yeah, the intersectionality, just understanding all the ways that we interact and touch other people's lives and social locations, and really remembering that we don't know a lot. That when we see somebody, we see this moment, but we're missing the complex multitudes that is their whole life, that we don't really know what goes on in people's selves. And so maintaining that posture of wonderment and also just respect for the multitudes that each person is.
That's good. So along those lines, how do you think inclusion intersects with the values of this congregation?
Well, I mean, we have a very strong value in theological diversity. So Unitarian Universalism really privileges each person to their own truth. And so in that, we really believe that there are as many ways to the transcendent as there are people. And so in that way, we have a really inherent belief in diversity. We really believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And from that flows a really radical inclusion in terms of what our values are. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting. So you talked about a diversity of thought. What does that look like with inclusion? Like, can we have diversity of thought about being inclusive? That's a surprise question, sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think we have to. You asked me earlier, like, can you be dogmatic about inclusion? And I really think you can be dogmatic about anything you want to be dogmatic about. And so, yes, we could say, like, we're going to be really inclusive in this very particular way, and in doing so, we end up cutting ourselves off from something that we don't even really know. So, yeah, that's where the radical comes into it, I think, because, like, radical means, like, to get the radical means to get the root, like the radish. And I think that's why it kind of has to go back to a theological belief, in that we need to really stay present to what the core of what we believe is. Otherwise, we get super lost in, like, our human malfunctioning, that we do. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. Micah, what does it mean for you to feel included here? What would it mean? What does it mean for you to feel included here?
Yeah, I think, as I sit up here, right, I'm 43 years old, Black, queer, married, cisgendered woman, auntie, cousin, friend, right? So I sit up here and I carry all of that. And so I think to be fully included is to fully include all of those little pieces and all of those little parts, i.e. intersectionality. And I think it also means that, like, I get to show up at 100%, and I get to show up at 40%, and I get to show up at 8%, and sometimes I'm not my best self, and I can still walk through the doors and feel loved and cared for, even if I have a mean face on, which sometimes I do because it's morning time. Or even when I'm like super excited about life, right? Like I get to show up fully, and I get to share my gifts and my talents and my loves and my dislikes. I get to talk about all of those things, and none of that excludes me. All of that is brought in with me and is joyfully welcomed.
Nice.
What about you?
For me to feel included in a space, I think of that Saturday Night Live quote, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. That people, for me to feel included, I need to feel liked in a space, not that people are just tolerating me, but that like people really enjoy me and like me. And I think on the flip side of that, as I think about in this space, how do we make people feel welcome, is that we need to like people, we need to enjoy and celebrate people and just be excited about them. And so, yeah, I'm curious about how you named some identities that you share. Do you feel like those being liked or celebrated would make a difference to you?
I think so. One of my first services I came into, when I first started working here and coming here, was the coming out service. Mm-hmm. I don't remember when it was, but I feel like it was one of the first ones. Mm-hmm. And I felt so seen. And it wasn't anything big. There was not, we all gathered in the front, so I guess that's big, but it was just very sweet and kind and like, hey, we love this about you, and we love that that's how you present to the world. Mm-hmm. And that was a very exciting sort of thing to see in a congregation that is probably majority white. I wouldn't say it's majority cisgender, but I could probably guess that it is. And there are a variety of people who sort of make up the congregation. And to see all of that being celebrated was really beautiful for me.
So do you think an element of inclusion would be to lift up and celebrate uniqueness in a way? Is there a way that we can do that in our inclusivity that doesn't feel tokenizing but feels authentic or kind of has integrity to it?
Yeah, I think that all comes out of relationship. Mm-hmm. So if you're building relationship with people, then you can sort of say, we want to celebrate, this amazing human for fundraising, right? Mm-hmm. You can say that and it doesn't feel tokenizing because you're celebrating them out of this relationship that you've built with them. Mm-hmm. Or celebrating, Black History Month or Hispanic Heritage Month, which is now. Mm-hmm. Being able to look at people and say, we value you and all that you bring, and this is so beautiful. We'd love to share it with the whole congregation, but you cannot do that unless you have relationship with these people and relationship with those parts of them that you're celebrating.
Because otherwise it is kind of
it just feels, and it's very surface, right? So it's like you are bringing this thing or you are benefiting us in some way, and so thanks for benefiting us. But if I'm celebrating you, it's not what you bring that benefits us, it's you that benefits us. All that you are benefits who we are.
Nice. Good answer.
Well, thanks. Okay, do you think that there are barriers or current barriers to inclusion in our space here or in other spaces that you might occupy?
I've thought a lot about this question. I think a barrier that is pretty profound in Unitarian Universalism is the cost that it takes to become a minister. So we have 2 ways you can become a minister. One, you can have 5 people who decide you're the minister, and like, boom, you're the minister, because we believe in the power of the people. So that's one way you can become a minister, but then you're not fellowshipped, and you are kind of like outside the accountability relationships that require like kind of like the network of ministers, which I really value. Or there's just a really, really, really long, comprehensive, expensive route to ministry that not everybody can take. And so I always think about that. I feel very privileged to be in the space of getting to become a minister and receive the education that I've received, and I know that not everybody can, really. So I think about that.
Yeah, I think another thing that could be a barrier in this space is how people, or any other space, is how people deal with conflict. And how, I think we were talking earlier, and you were talking about how sometimes people are like averse to it, or avoidant in that way. And I was saying how I really embrace conflict. Like I think it is probably the most helpful thing that's helped me grow as a human. And so I'm wondering, in what ways can you or can we encourage each other to embrace the beauty of conflict?
Yeah, because I mean, oftentimes people deal with conflict, especially in churches or religion, through like ostracism or shunning. That's kind of like a real trope that can come true in any religious community. And that's a really effective way to deal with conflict, because that other being is just gone because you've decided they're not there anymore. And so thinking about conflict is important. Okay, I have one more question.
Okay, go for it.
What would you say to someone who feels excluded in their personal life, from this community, from any community, from the human family?
Yeah, so I feel like if someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm feeling really excluded in this space that we share, I first am going to ask myself, what am I doing to contribute to that feeling? Because if we share a space, like, I don't want you to feel excluded. And so what am I doing to contribute to that? I'm also going to wonder about ways to include, like, to just take the extra step and be very intentional about inclusion. Just, again, this is only from like just me, someone saying this to me, and I'm going to do this thing. And then looking at, do I set a calendar reminder saying, hey, text Neil, say hi. Text Rose, check on, her foot, right? So just something to like keep me aware, because that ADHD brain is real. But I think most importantly is to just be really intentional about my interactions, and bringing folks along. And also then to, like, as we grow in relationship, hopefully they can see where they have fit in. Like, how have they excluded others? Ideally, this is what would happen. They would decide, this is the way that I've excluded others, and they would shift. And so that they can then give and receive inclusion.
I really, really, really appreciate that sense that we are responsible for being inclusive. Like, we talk a lot about membership as like a branch of our congregation, and really you're the membership, and the membership, what you all feel like to people is what people feel when they come in here. They feel the vibe of the people. And what has made you feel welcome in this space?
I feel very loved in this space. When I walk in those doors on the side, Deacon is literally like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, oh, hi. Let me remember to smile. Let me remember to be excited to be here, because someone is excited that I am here. I have felt super welcome by the kids being like naughty in class, because that means that they feel comfortable enough to just do what they want to do, even if we're sitting and we're like lighting the chalice and having a really serious conversation. And someone wants to like lay on the floor or like fart, right? Like, this is what kids do, and I love it. I'm all for it. And that makes me feel really welcome. And just when I share my thoughts, or when I like have something to say to someone, I love when they say thank you. I love it when they're like, oh, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. That is, I don't know why that means something to me, but people seem to do that like just kind of like naturally in this space. And so I really appreciate that.
Well, on that note, thank you for being here and sharing yourself and sharing your readings that you chose and just your thoughts and your presence. I really value your presence here on staff and in the community, and so I'm just grateful that you wanted to take the time to do this service with us. So thank you. Yeah. Herein ends the dialogue.
Right in there, right in there, right in there. Oh, goodness.
Sorry.
The work of the church depends on us, our generosity of time, wisdom, and financial resources. Today, our Donate the Plate goes to the food pantry. Food pantry is something that's very close to my heart. I thought it was the most wonderful thing that we have accomplished here, but it does need to keep going. And in order to, so I'm always thinking, well, how can we get money? One of my favorite things to do is to call corporations and ask them for money. Trivent Financial is my insurance company. They helped me out a number of years ago with PTA work I was doing. I needed snacks for kids after school. So it popped in my head, I haven't talked to them in a couple of years, let me give them a call. Well, I did call, and it could not have turned out better. So make a long story short, the woman I talked to, Jennifer, she asked me right away, where am I from? I said, Brooklyn, and she said, I'm Bayside. Instant connection. The conversation went great after that. But I was on the phone over an hour, and she said, let's fill out an application. She pulled up our pantry online, very impressed with it. And we got the application, and then she said, are you doing anything else? Does your church do anything else but food? I said, well, we have a Wednesday night program we're starting. We want to encourage people to go to classes, and it's easier if we have fun with dinner. So she says, I was wondering, she goes, let's fill out another application. So we filled out an application for that. What it amounts to is $250 each group, or combination of. So make a long story short, within 10 minutes, I got the phone call, we were approved. So in 12 days, we get our first gift of $500, and then every 5 months after that, I can call up and reapply, and then build a history. There is no limit to this. You just call up every 5 months, and because it's a church, they have a way of tracking it. And of course, I have to keep track of what we're doing. But what a gift, huh? $500 just like that. So, which really turns into $1,000. So, you know, if you look at it that way, like we can keep this rolling. And she's going to send me an alert when it's time for me to call again, which is even better because, you know, I said I don't do good. Anyway, we invite you to give generously to support the ongoing work of the church. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared values. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
This week, I invite you to notice who is included, who is excluded, and how can you be the person to make someone else feel welcome. Go in peace.